We welcome to the show Austin Price, fallquest.com. He joins us every week thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Design. Spring practice begins on Monday. Austin, thank you for the time as always. Do you have a storyline or a topic that interests you the most as the 2023 team, at least the spring version of it, hits the field in 3 days?
I think, guys, it's similar to what it was a year ago from a standpoint of, who's going to play tackle? You kind of have Darnell Wright a year ago. Now, this year there's no Darnell Wright. And so you have John Campbell coming in from Miami. You have J.J. Crawford and Gerald Mincy, who kind of, hung in there, last year. But it's going to be interesting to kind of see how this plays out. Tennessee, I know, is hoping John Campbell is a real solution at tackle. But until he plays in this league, it's kind of hard for me to go fully in the deep end with John Campbell at this point.
With the spring game being a $5 fee, are you expecting, I guess, more fireworks in terms of 11-on-11 the spring game?
I would if I were a fan. If I'm a Tennessee administrator, if you're going to charge for that game, like so much of the spring game. Everything around the spring game at all schools has kind of morphed into hurry up and get it done, hurry up and get it done, hurry up and get it done. Well, nobody in the league does autographs anymore because everybody's afraid of the NIL repercussions. We're not going to ask our student athletes to sign something because now they want to charge. Yeah, that's true, but I've been around 500 athletes in the last 2 years and have watched them sign autographs for people at Gus's, Jason, when we do Tennessee Prime or whatever, and kids always sign. They don't ask for money. That's just the entire league hiding behind this silliness, in my opinion. So you don't have an autograph day anymore. Now you're charging to go. There's got to be some kind of incentive, right? There's got to be some touchdowns and some big plays, and I don't want to call it – you don't want it to be the NBA All-Star game because then everybody comes out going, oh, we can't play a lick of defense. But at the same time, there's got to be a little bit of fireworks, right? I mean, there's got to be some kind of incentive for the fan and saying, hey, we're going to have this concert. Man, fans, a few fans may care, but, most don't. They want to just come see the Vols. They just want to come see the Vols play, and that means they want to watch them play real football and not just kind of a bunch of backups going against a bunch of backups. So, I would like to think that's the case, but I know all coaches, they don't want to get anybody injured or anything like that. So I would still lean to it being kind of what it's been.
As far as numbers and depth, looks like we are in a better position to see more 11-on-11. Because last year you just didn't have the numbers with linebackers and, guys being out because of all-season surgeries, things like that. But it just seems like with more freshmen and transfers coming in who have been in the system for a couple of months, that they're more prepared to compete during that 11-on-11 drills and sessions. Am I off base there, or do you agree?
You're 100% spot on. Tennessee's just a deeper football team right now than at any point during the Josh Heupel era. The young talent is really, really good, in my opinion. Now, you've still got to have some of those young guys take a step in the right direction, whether it be guys that played a little bit last year, played a lot of special teams like Jordan Thomas, Elijah Herring, Caleb Perry, Tyree West, James Pierce, Josh Joseph, all those young defenders. Then you start adding some of these freshman corners, Jordan Matthews, Ricky Gibson, Christian Conyer, John Slaughter at safety. You can go right down the list, and it's an impressive Caleb Herring. It's an impressive list of young defensive players. I've said for a while now, if Tennessee's going to take the next step as a program, Jason, they've got to do it on defense, especially with the young guys. But I think that's where what you're describing really kicks in. This team is so much deeper because of the youth that there will be some, I think, really competitive, spirited times during spring practice. Now, none of us will be there to see, but I think, it's one of those things where I think that this will help Josh Heupel and the entire coaching staff have a feel exiting spring for maybe, okay, hey, we thought this position was going to be a point of weakness. But after spring, I'm not so sure. So maybe we don't need to go waste a scholarship for a veteran guy at that spot. Maybe we need to do it at this position instead. And so I think that, as long as the youth kind of comes ready to go in spring, this has got a chance to be a really competitive spring where, the staff learns a lot about itself.
Austin Price is with us, VolQuest.com, every week thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. Recruiting hasn't stopped and won't, even though they get ready for spring practice. What would be the latest headline or two that stands out that fans should know about what's happening on the recruiting trail for Tennessee?
Now, I think the biggest thing right now is just getting kids to campus. The next week, 2 weeks, is going to be pretty big. You got Jake Merklinger, the quarterback from Savannah, Georgia, coming into town here in the next week or so. He's going to have been to Georgia, who's the home state school, before he comes here. But Tennessee and North Carolina have kind of been the teams positioned best for him. But again, home state Bulldogs are starting to make a push now with Mike Bobo running things and kind of where he wants to go with the quarterback position in Athens versus maybe where Todd Monken wanted it to be. Probably a little bit different. And, I'm interested to see what Merklinger says coming out of Georgia, coming out of this Tennessee trip, because I think Tennessee has been positioned best, honestly, out of any of the teams. But, a bunch of visits can change that. The running back position, Braylon Russell should be coming to town here in the next week or so. Running back from the state of Arkansas. Tennessee just had Peyton Lewis here. Tennessee is rising up the board for him, and he's rising up the board for Tennessee. Running back from the state of Virginia. Bodie Calhoun will be back, or Bodie Cahoon will be back first part of April. He's going to probably decide something end of April, early May. He's committed to Ohio State for lacrosse, but has all of a sudden picked up all this attention, for football, and all of a sudden he started to get all these big-time offers. He was at Penn State today, and, has really started to garner a lot of traction. I think Tennessee kind of sits best for him right now. Then you look at, some other positions of need. Tennessee is going to have a lot of tight ends over the next month, including current commit Jonathan Eccles. He'll be back in. One of the top tight ends in the country, Jaden Riddell, will be here. And so it's an exciting time, because I think this next month or so, even if it doesn't line a ton of commits, and it could, but even if they don't, I think the biggest thing is Tennessee becomes a real factor for several of these big-time guys, because the caliber of player they're recruiting now, or the caliber of player that has interest in Tennessee now, is different than 2 years ago.
Are you hearing about any players standing out in winter workouts? I know they spend some time on the field, as well as their weight room sessions. Newcomers, current guys that were on this team last year, who's maybe standing out so far as we are approached the first day of spring practice?
Yeah, again, there are several guys that have put on the right weight. Like Caleb Perry, his body's looking drastically different now than it was a year ago. Does that translate to him being a real player on the field for Tennessee? I don't know. We'll see. But I think that, that's a good sign that he's bought in the weight room, which means he's likely buying in overall. Caleb Herring come in at 206. So we talked about this last week. Came in at 206. He's almost 230. By this week, he actually may be 230. He's put a ton of time in the weight room. Tennessee likes where they are with several of these younger players. And honestly, I think it's a driving force for some veteran guys. Danico Slaughter being zeroed in, focused in, since he's going to stay at corner. Christian Charles likely to move to safety. Christian Harrison could move to safety as we get into spring practice. So, all these players really need to be dialed in, because as you talked about the depth, that means that there are people chomping at the bit to take older players' job. And so I'm interested to kind of see what the safeties look like in spring, Jason, because I think that several of them have had good off seasons, but again, that doesn't translate until you get on the field.
They get on the field on Monday, and there will be more competition when that happens. They will be covering it at VolQuest.com, on the field, on the recruiting trail, baseball, basketball, in full swing as well. VolQuest.com, the website. And every week, Austin joins us thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs, making it unique, making it special, making it just for you. They want to be there. They want to be your jeweler there at Rick Terry Jewelry Design. Hey, Austin, thanks for the time as always. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to talking to you again next week.
That was good, guys. Appreciate you.